Hi guys, welcome to AdamMcKola TV. This is the preview for Manchester United against Huddersfield, coming in the wake of that defeat at Wembley. Manchester United losing for the first time in 2018. We conceded our first goals of 2018 as well in the final game of January, 2-0 to Spurs. That goal inside 10 seconds, that own goal from Phil Jones costing Manchester United, but it was an all-round poor performance from the Reds on what was a very, very bad day out. We don't have many of those at Wembley, but we did in our first Premier League outing. In fact, our first league outing at Wembley was defeat. But we return to Old Trafford this weekend. Huddersfield Town are the opponents. Huddersfield Town beat us this season. I think it was our first defeat in the season Huddersfield Town provided us with, and Manchester United losing that game and going on to drop further points, as we know. But this is a big game for Manchester United coming up. We need to bounce back straight away. We've got 5 fixtures in February. It could be potentially the first of 2 meetings with Huddersfield in February if they beat Birmingham City, and we have to travel to the John Smith Stadium in the Cup. But this is a game that not only do we need to get revenge and beat these guys for beating us earlier in the season, but also we have to get 3 points on the board. Look, Manchester City 15 points clear. The league title is gone now, but Manchester United can still have a very good league campaign if we keep the form that we were showing before that Wembley outing going forward. We need to keep picking up points again, and to be fair, the Wembley performance was a one-off on the side of New Year, and we haven't played that badly in a while, and I'm hoping Manchester United will bounce back straight away at the weekend. It's easy to lose to a team like that. It felt like the Chelsea game. It felt a little bit worse than the Chelsea game. Remember that 4-0 game where we conceded really early? It felt a little bit worse than that, but it's likely to have been a bad day. That's what I'm hoping. That's why I'm looking to see the reaction of the players here in this Huddersfield game, and that's what it's all on them to prove that that was just a bad day. Because Jose Mourinho, yes, you could have said he could have played a midfield 3 against Spurs. That's one argument. He tactically could have set us up a little bit different. But Jose Mourinho gets criticism when we go into the big games, and he does set us up a little bit more negatively. But I think that was down to the players falling asleep early doors. You don't concede a goal within 10 seconds from kick-off, for fuck's sake. That's not the manager's fault. Whether you play a back 3, back 4, midfield 2, midfield 3, no matter what you play, you shouldn't be conceding that goal. And the second goal from Phil Jones, what is he doing? It was a mistake. So I think it's on these players, and I think Jose Mourinho in that game against Spurs may have felt that he learnt some new things about some of these players, because he may have felt he could have trusted Phil Jones. He may have felt he could have trusted a couple of other players. But then they come out and perform like that. After Phil Jones has had a decent season so far, he's played fairly well in the Premier League, and people have, including myself, have thought, hey, this could be the season that Phil Jones turns it around. But then he goes in and puts a performance like that in, and it's baffling to me. It's really, really baffling. Guys, thank you for all your comments. Jesse with the McKola gang. Thank you very much, mate. James says, I'm not sure what James is saying actually, a little bit more negatively. Understatement of the year, says Mo Weather. We will bounce back. It was a bad day at the office, says Ryan Brooks. Nikhil says it was just a bad day. Let's move on. But we need to play Pogba in a 3 with a free role. Shaw was available. Rojo and Lindelof as well, says AS7. Hyder says, Adam, we have to play in a midfield of 3 with Pogba up. Martial has to play on the left wing and Alexis on the right wing. Yes, it was a strange one to see Martial put on the right, Alexis on the left. It looks like he wanted to keep Alexis in the position that he played him in against Yeovil and not change things around too dramatically for him. But I think we lost out in terms of Martial's performance for that. Although they did drift around, Martial did go across to Alexis' side at times, so you can't say it was a rigid formation. Hello 11183 says, over exaggeration of the game yesterday, need to pick up with a win against Huddersfield. Connell just watched the FTD podcast, says it was such a good show. I agree, I watched it as well. Lukaku, that corner was my favourite. Sanchez shouldn't have started, says Momo. The boys will bounce back, says Carbon Stoner. Amar Iqbal says, what do you think of Fellaini? Obviously he picked up an injury yesterday, and that is the update. He could be out for 6 to 8 weeks with that injury. It's a knee injury, a game, and I think it's a recurrence of a knee injury he's already had. But Marouane Fellaini, at the time I thought he had got hooked off for not following rules, but it seems that he got pulled off with an injury, and it was confirmed today, and it was confirmed by Jose Mourinho after the game yesterday as well. Fellaini's injured for 2 months. He'll be out. Say what's up to Atlanta, Adam. I think I've just did that. Buffalo Smith, thank you for tuning in. Kyle Parr said Chelsea lost 3-0 at home, but everyone talking like United will never win again. Mate, we just have to come to terms with the fact that we're the biggest club in the world, and regardless of whether we're 6th, 2nd, 1st, 4th, 5th, whatever position in the table, people are always going to talk negatively about us. Aman says, I feel sorry for Marcus Rashford. I don't feel sorry for Marcus Rashford, and I don't think Marcus Rashford will be feeling sorry for himself either, because he's a player that has got 10 goals this season. He's had a difficult time at times, but he's been coming and showing signs of improvement as well. So I don't think we can be overly concerned with Marcus Rashford's development. Don't stress too much. He may start against Huddersfield at the weekend. I wouldn't be surprised to see him start, or at least come onto the pitch. So I don't know why everyone's concerned with that. Why didn't Rojo start last night, says Jay O'Connell. In hindsight, I would have started Marcus Rojo as well in place of Chris Smalling. Now, him and Phil Jones do have a good partnership. And when you look at Smalling and Jones, and yes, Phil Jones did make that huge error in terms of mixing up his feet and not getting the ball correctly cleared out. But I feel like Smalling is more of a weakest link from those guys. Bailey should be back for Sevilla, I think they says Craig Vincent. That would be huge news for Manchester United as well. I recognise Craig and a lot of other people as well. You guys are like Jay O'Connell. You guys are regulars, man. So I do appreciate you guys, and thank you very much for tuning in, whether it's your first time or your 100th time on AdamMcKola TV. Thank you very much. Get hitting that like button, get hitting that subscribe button as well. We're 19 away from 46,100. Can we do it? Young was just as much to blame for the first goal. I agree with that as well. I wouldn't pick Ashley Young. I wouldn't have picked him for the Spurs game, and I wouldn't pick him for the Huddersfield game. I want to see Luke Shaw being our first choice left back, and I think he should be staying in the team. Can't lose faith with Martial, says Connell Cush. No one's losing faith with Anthony Martial around here. Don't you worry about that. Big talking point from the game against Tottenham Hotspur was, of course, the whole Paul Pogba thing. Was Jose Mourinho giving him a rollicking? Why did he take him off? Now, the first things we have to come to terms with is, no matter how good somebody is, they are never immune from having bad games, and they're never immune from being substituted during games. And Paul Pogba is the same, and I'm sure he will see that and know that too. Secondly, he wasn't performing great yesterday. I don't think he was in our bottom 3 performers, but it seemed to be that Jose Mourinho was asking something of him, and he just wasn't doing it. Now, I'm hoping this comes to a conversation between Jose Mourinho and Paul Pogba, that yes, we want to see Paul Pogba playing in his best position and playing further forward and playing in a midfield 3 on the left hand side with a little bit of a freer role. But at the same time, when he's given a task, when he's given a job by the manager, he has to do that job. Now, I don't know what Jose Mourinho was asking of him. It could have been something totally unfair. It could have been a role that Paul Pogba knows himself he can't fulfill. And if that's the case, then you can kind of see where Paul Pogba is coming from, if he had a problem with that. But at the same time, Jose Mourinho is asking things of his players. He needs them to deliver. Now, it could have been something in the game that he was constantly seeing from either Paul Pogba, Matic, from our midfield, from our defence, from our attack, whatever. And he just wanted us to get that right. Pogba wasn't doing it. He got hooked. Now, in that game, that's totally fine. Pogba had a poor game. I also thought, though, as well, Matic had a bad game. I didn't think Matic was great yesterday either. So I can't, say Nemanja Matic was much better than Paul Pogba, because he wasn't. So yeah, I do think there's been a lot more made of it because it's Paul Pogba, because it's Jose Mourinho, because it's Man United. but I don't think there'll be any issues, and Paul Pogba will be back in the team on the weekend. Be interesting to see how Pogba reacts to that mine. If he reacts well, that's what you expect from captain material, says Craig. Why buy Lindelof if we don't use him, says Tams. It seems likely that Jose Mourinho is trying to bed him in without destroying him. He doesn't want to destroy one of his defenders now, does he? Dele Alli is a wanker, says Ibrahim. He's a very good footballer, but he is also a very big wanker as well. Matic had to do 2 jobs, says Tams. You could argue that Paul Pogba also had to do that as well. Kane was impressive, completely bullied us, says Ivan Topalov. Yeah, I don't think he was particularly impressive in terms of, obviously, conversion. He never got a goal and all that. But what he did off the ball and what he did in terms of challenging our centre-halves and challenging our defenders and winning free kicks in and around the box, he was very good at doing that. And he kept the pressure for Tottenham Hotspur. But I also felt as well there was a big comparison made with obviously Romelu Lukaku and Rio Ferdinand coming out and saying that's what you want from a number 9 in terms of Harry Kane, and I agree with that as well. You can't argue with the fact Harry Kane's been absolutely phenomenal, but I do think United need to help Romelu Lukaku a little bit more as well. I felt our front three yesterday, they had a few opportunities in the first 20-30 minutes, and in the second half there was a few glimpses, but we just don't supply them with enough. When you look at Romelu Lukaku when he was at Everton, he was getting constant supply. Now, I'm not saying Manchester United need to play Route 1 football. And I'm not saying Manchester United need to, just sling it in every single occasion. But we need to play to his strengths as well. We need to get the ball into his feet. We need to get the ball into his... He had one chance yesterday where he got the ball, he pinned the fullback, got a shot in and drew a good save from Lloris. And that was the only time we really got the ball to him, with his back to goal in the middle of the box. So we need to be doing more of that. And giving him more opportunities as well. We will come back to the Manchester United we all know and love, says Asher, who's feeling positive today. We should give some credit to Spurs pressing us. Didn't catch the name on that one, but I agree. While Spurs weren't particularly appealing on the eye, I don't think the performance was out of this world, but they did very well in terms of that aspect of things, pressing us. And I thought they played better in the second half than they did in the first half, even though all their goals came in the first half. MJ Studios says, in Jose we trust. Dan Hughes says, Lukaku loses the ball too much. Lukman says, follow her. You nearly got me there. Shafat says, we don't seem to have ball control or don't seem to even make simple passes when teams push up high the pitch against us. Shouldn't we take care of that? I think it all comes from midfield, though. You have to be combating that in midfield. You can't expect your front three, front four to be combating that. You need to be getting it from the midfield. And I think in hindsight yesterday, the midfield just wasn't set up well enough. I mentioned before the game how it was important. Jesse Lingard had a good game, and Jesse Lingard did have a good game yesterday, I felt, particularly in the first half. But Matic and Pogba didn't have good games. And the midfield battle was lost, and because of that United ultimately lost the game, because at 1-0 down after 10 seconds you still got 90 minutes to go, and I thought with the way we reacted it looked like we could have got a goal and got straight back into it. That goal didn't come in the first half, and in the second half Spurs got better, United got worse, and the game was lost. Neil says we need Lindelof back. We can either have Jones or Smalling, can't have both of them. I agree with that. Jones and Smalling got both. I don't like them together. I would rather Jones be playing as well. We need to play 4-3-3 to free Pogba, says Junaid. Obama, what? Needs to play a more attacking formations. I don't think that's the case at all. If we played more attacking yesterday, the result would have been a lot worse. Jamie says failed in a big game again. Right, we've had 15 minutes talking about Manchester United against Spurs and reflecting on what went wrong for Manchester United there. Now, we're going to look towards Manchester United against Huddersfield. Now, big game for Manchester United, big game. And we're going into this game, we need to get a victory. Now, in the last game against Huddersfield, they obviously got a win against Manchester United, which was frustrating. But Huddersfield recently haven't been great at all. They lost 3-0 last time out against Liverpool. They drew with Birmingham City at home before that, lost against Stoke, lost against West Ham at home, beat Bolton in the Cup. That's their only win in 2018, because before that they lost against Leicester as well. So this Huddersfield team haven't been great at all. They haven't been playing well, and they haven't been performing very well. And they don't get a lot of goals. When you look at them this season, they've got 12 goals from open play, 3 goals from set pieces, and the rest of them have come from own goals or penalties. They don't get an awful lot of goals at all. A lot of their play, let me just have a look at that. Well, I've lost that thing that I had on them. But yeah, in terms of Huddersfield Town, they're going to come to Manchester United. David Wagner's going to have them well organised. We know that. But they concede a lot of possession in games. They you know, if they're going to win a game, they're going to try and block you out. Because if Manchester United score at Old Trafford, we win this game. The only way I can see us losing or drawing is if we don't score in this game. They get less than a goal a game, Huddersfield Town. So, you know, we need to be beating this side. We really do need to be beating this side. We know that we have to watch out for the likes of Aaron Moy, who's been one of their best players this season. David Schindler's a decent defender for them at the back as well. De Poitre's their top goal scorer on 5. I think he is joint on goals with Mounier, but I may be wrong in that. But De Poitre's got 5 goals. They're most goals for them this season. So we've seen that they don't get a lot of goals, but they got 2 against us at their ground last time, beat us 2-1. And United need to be wary of complacency, because against Huddersfield at home, if we don't start off well, first 30-40 minutes, and complacency and worry starts to sneak in, we could be in for a shock at Old Trafford. Whereas if we hit the ground running and we get a goal, remember it's Alexis Sanchez's first game at Old Trafford, so it's the first time we'll get to see him playing at Old Trafford, and so I'm hoping that sparks a response from the crowd and sparks a response from the team as well. I'm going for Alexis Sanchez to get his first goal, to be honest. I think he'll score in this game. He was one of our better players against Spurs. We couldn't really fault Sanchez or David De Gea in that game, but I felt everybody else was pretty poor. Now this is the 11 that I've gone with, and I've gone for a complete change at the back. I think Jose Mourinho should be ruthless to try and get a reaction out of players, and I think dropping Smalling, dropping Jones, dropping Ashley Young. Jones and Young were at fault for the 2 goals. I don't think Smalling covered himself in glory either. I'd go with David De Gea, Valencia, Lindelof, Rojo and Luke Shaw in that back line. I know a lot of people were concerned with the fact that, and I've mentioned this a lot as well this season, that there's times when you would have thought Valencia, Smalling, Jones and Young would have been gone from this team. There are 4 players that are still here from Sir Alex Ferguson's reign, and you wouldn't expect them to have still been here. Now Valencia, I'm fine with him playing at right back. Jones has been good this season, but Smalling and Young shouldn't be starters for Manchester United in my opinion, and we need to be looking beyond those players week in, week out. And I think Tottenham could be a turning point for Jose Mourinho in terms of his looking towards that. But I also think it should be a turning point for Jose Mourinho as well in terms of what he's demanding from Paul Pogba, because I think when we're playing him in a midfield 2, we're demanding far too much from him. Now some people may say, oh, he gets paid a lot of money, this, that and the other, we should be able to demand that from him. But tactically it just doesn't work for us. Tactically a midfield 2 of Matic and Pogba does not work for Manchester United, and it hasn't been good enough for us this season. So we need to change things up, I think, and the best way for me, best way for you guys, everybody knows it, 4-3-3, play Herrera, play Pogba. I think it'd be unfair to drop Lingard from the game against Spurs, because he was one of our better performers in the first half, but I think that's how we're going to get our best team on the pitch. I don't think it'd be fair to drop Martial or Sanchez. I'd like to see them back in their positions. Sanchez on the right, Martial on the left. It'd be the first time Sanchez plays on the right for us. Lukaku up top. Let's get that midfield going. Let's play this midfield 3 more often than not. I want to see this. I think it's the way to go for Manchester United. So let's do it. The Bear says 4-4-2, but a lot of you are agreeing. I think that's the best, says Tams. Totally agree with that lineup. Definitely a midfield 3, says Connell. I actually think this is a better team than we played yesterday, says David Ajawumi. Who's better, Pogba? Fuck off. Stop getting on Pogba's case because he's had one bad game, for God's sake. Like Aman says, Pogba is only human. Mo Wada says Lingard for Martial. Alexis can't play on the right, he says. That's totally wrong. He got more goals for Arsenal from the right than any other position. Ben Ovenden says 4-3-3 for sure. Junaid wants to see a 4-3-1-2. So in that scenario, we'd probably see Sanchez in the 1 or Lingard in the 1 and Lukaku, Sanchez up top. What are you thinking about that? Jose will play the same team, I bet you, says Shakti. Well, I hope it's not Smalling and Jones at the back in there. 4-3-3 is a better formation, says Nathan. JO wants to see Herrera DM. I think Jose will play the same team as yesterday, so there's another one with OJ with that comment. I'd go Carrick or Jesse instead of Matic, with Herrera holding if Jesse plays, says Orange Ape. Jones over Lindelof for me. We lost to Huddersfield the last time from Jones's mistakes, says Chris Hanlon. Can we hold that against him? It's like going to play Spurs next season and saying Jones can't play because he made a mistake this time around. But will Jones be at Manchester United next season? After yesterday's performance, Stasios is 4-3-3, A-Lang is 4-3-3, and Abdi also wants to see a 4-3-3. Lukman says Matic, Herrera, Pogba in the 3. He's gone with the same midfield 3 as I have. We've got about 150 people watching at the moment. Can we get to 100 likes? And can we get to 46,100 subscribers? Get hitting that subscribe button. Get liking the video as well. What are your score predictions for Manchester United against Huddersfield in the Premier League, and how important is it that Manchester United bounce back? That is my predicted 11 right there. David De Gea, Valencia, Lindelof, Rojo, Luke Shaw, Matic, Herrera, Pogba, Sanchez, Martial and Romelu Lukaku. I want to see Manchester United going with the same front three. Now we're going to wrap this up with a little bit of a Q&A ahead of the game. I want your thoughts and your questions ahead of the match. Do you want to see Ander Herrera brought in? Obviously Manchester United are without Valencia, without Fellaini, who's in. Sorry, not without Valencia. Sorry. Without Valencia, who's injured. Without Bailly, who's also injured. And without Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Craig says 4-0 FC will be back. OJ says 3-1. Jamie says at least 2-0. And Tom asks a silly question. Would you swap De Gea for Ronaldo? No. And I don't think anyone watching this, whether live or later, would swap De Gea for Ronaldo. Sanchez should replace Lingard for a while, says Kun Luyan. They both started though, so I don't know what you mean by that one. 1-0 with Phil Jones scoring, says Scott Win. Sanchez at 10, says Kun Luyan. Jarrell, I agree, mate. It's a load of shite. Even if they score first, we will have a better defensive formation, says Nathan Bishop. 53-0, says MJ Studios, going quite conservative with the result there. Sandstab Das says 4-0. Sanchez should play at 10. I would play Mata over Martial, says SAM. Yeah, is there any players that were left out against Spurs that you want to see return to the lineup? We seem to fare badly when we leave Juan Mata out of the team. I've noticed that. Do you want to see any of those players return to the team? Can we batter a shit team for a change? We've battered a lot of teams this season, to be fair. In terms of result, anyway. Sanchez up front, 2-0 win, I think, says Mills. Star Revenge, 4-0 FC, please, says Tams. Alexis with a hat-trick, says Aman. Put Herrera on in the second half, says Nathan. He doesn't want Herrera to start. And how do you see Rashford's position at the moment, says Mr. Jinro. I don't have a problem with Rashford's position at the moment or at any moment, because I think Jose Mourinho is handling him quite well at this moment in time, in terms of playing him at times, taking him out at times, giving him chances up top. He's played there, for example, against Yeovil, playing him out wide. He's got 10 goals this season. He had 11 last season, so that's an improvement already. I believe he'll go on to get his best goal scoring record of any season at Manchester United. I think he had 13 in his first season. So I think Marcus Rashford is improving. Yes, his performances, some of them haven't been great, and he's had better performances in the past, but he's learning. He's always learning. You can tell he's one of those players that always learns. Jose Mourinho is happy with him even when he's not scoring. So I believe we've got a lot to be positive about with Marcus Rashford. He's one of our most played players. People like to say, oh, Marcus Rashford, what's going to happen to him when Alexis Sanchez comes in? When Mkhitaryan and Zlatan were fit, he was still playing. So Marcus Rashford under Jose Mourinho is one of our most played players. So what's the problem? I just don't get it. Marcus Rashford's doing absolutely fine. Are you going to Newcastle, Adam? Says Tom. Yes, I'll be there. Jose must start to believe in Lindelof, says Oriel, who wants to see Lindelof in the team. Craig says he always looks like a threat when he comes on. And Kun Loyan wants to see Rashford start in this game. Neil says 1 win against 9 away against the top 6 is a concern. Can you see it improving? I think last season we kind of have to disregard that because a lot of them games came at a point in the season when it was the end of the season and we kind of scrapped it off for the Europa League. I think it kind of is a little bit of a concern when you think of the fact that the way we're approaching these games, it don't look like we have found the tactics to get it right in these big games. Although there's been a few occasions we've beat Spurs twice at home, we've beat Chelsea at home. We got it tactically spot on in that game, and that was when they won the league. We beat Arsenal away, and I think tactically in the first half in that game we got it spot on. So there have been the occasions when we've got it right, but most of the time we don't. And I think one, you have to think of where have Manchester United been. Last season we finished 6th, so it was kind of a result of us, where we were at that time. I think this season we've been better. I would have liked to have seen better performances, but we've still got to play some of these teams. Chelsea are coming up at home, Liverpool are coming up at home. We can get the wins there. Now I know your question was about away from home, and I think defensively we're not good enough. And I think as shown yesterday, when we try and show more attacking prowess and try and go forward, we maybe haven't got enough in midfield and in defence. And I think it's a big summer for Jose Mourinho. I think we need one top quality midfielder. I think that's a definite. And I think we maybe need still one top quality defender as well. So it's a big summer coming up, and until we get players in every single position that Jose Mourinho's 100% happy with, I don't think we will be approaching these games in the best shape. Now, when you look at Man City, since Pep Guardiola's gone in, now I'm not talking about money here, so this isn't me being bitter. I'm just saying look at the numbers. Pep Guardiola signed about 18 players. Jose signed 7 or 8. So when you look at that, the changes in their squad's been vast. Manchester United haven't changed the squad. Look at the defence yesterday. 4 players that were here under Sir Alex Ferguson. That's simply not right. And yes, we have changed a few. The likes of Darmian haven't been a success at all. Daley Blind's still here, hasn't really played. Lindelof, Bailly's injured. Rojo. So we have got players that are here, and you'd think there've been new players that you'd expect to make a difference, but for injuries and whatever reasons they haven't made that change. But Jose Mourinho hasn't been able to make some of these signings. He's only really brought in Lindelof and Bailly at the back. He needs more there. He needs more of his own defenders. So I think we just need to wait a little bit. And this transfer window is very, very big for Manchester United coming up. Rojo's a top quality defender, says Ariane. I do agree as well. Now then, my score prediction for this one against Huddersfield, I'm going Manchester United 4, Huddersfield 0. I think we're going to win this game, and I think we're going to get a good result as well. And I think we'll be feeling a little bit better about things again, and we'll hopefully show that game against Spurs was just a blip in performance. But yeah, that's my prediction for that game. Guys, get some of your predictions in and I'll read some of them out before we wrap up this show. Can you hit that like button if you've already subscribed, and if you haven't hit that like button or subscribe, do both. Neil says, I agree with you, we haven't been able to ship the dead wood that is holding us back. Rahman Uddin also agrees, and Junaid says, in Mourinho we trust. Tams 4-0 FC's back. Khalid 3-0, Junaid 6-0, and Junaid and Tams are saying it all again. Rahman Uddin says 2-1. George says, don't jinx it. I can't jinx it really, can I? And Tom Shuttleworth says 3-1. Easy Mac Amias says 3-0. And Matt Ryland didn't give a score prediction. I'm shattered today. Sorry about that. Anyway, on that note, guys, thank you for watching this stream. I hope you're not all yawning like me and you were bored and you had a good chit chat and a good little vent after that result against Spurs as well. I'm confident Manchester United will be bouncing back against Huddersfield though. Guys, get your comments in below. Subscribe, like and share. I have been AdamMcKola. You guys have been legends. I'm out of here.